First of all, thank you for accepting me as the final presenter of today's session. My name is Shahad Al-Khalifa. I'm a researcher at E1 Research Group in King Saud University in Saudi Arabia. And this paper is called the Qiyas Benchmark, Measuring ChatGPT Mathematical and Language Understanding in Arabic. This paper is a work of mine and Professor Hend Al-Khalifa. So the outline of this presentation is firstly, I'll be starting with introducing our topic with the problem formation and the contributions of this work. After that, I'll be discussing the background of the study with previous research in the field. Following that is a description of the dataset used in the study. And after that, I'll be discussing the evaluation approach that we followed with the results discussion. And lastly, I'll be concluding our work with a future work discussion. So first of all, I would like to discuss the problem that we have at hand. So the main problem that we have is that there is a shortage of benchmarks that assess large language models' capabilities in mathematical reasoning and language understanding. This shortage is mainly in the Arabic language, where there's a lack of LLMs developed specifically for the Arabic language and benchmarks that assesses these large language models. This has led to the absence of evaluation tools, which limits the deployments of large language models in many domains, including the educational domain. The main contributions of this work is as follows. So we developed the Qiyas benchmark for evaluating large language models' performance on mathematical and language tasks, specifically for the Arabic language. And we used this benchmark to assess two main models or two variations of ChatGPT, which is the 3.5-turbo and 4 across 0, 1, and few shot settings. The background of this study is that I would like to start by discussing the previous research in the field. So there are two main domains that previous researchers have assessed ChatGPT on, which is the first of all is the medical domain, and previous literature showed that ChatGPT excelled in passing third-year medical students exam as well as other medical examinations. In the educational domain, the studies showed that ChatGPT excelled in college and high school exams, performing really good results. As for the benchmark, we only have, as far as we know, one bilingual benchmark, which assesses ChatGPT's performance in both English and Arabic and comparing them. And the findings of this study shows that ChatGPT performs well in English in comparison to Arabic, as well as ChatGPT-4's Arabic capabilities are better than ChatGPT-3.5-trubo. And the results of this study is going to be supporting our findings, which will be presented shortly. So what is the Qiyas? What is Qiyas, which is the name of our benchmark? Qiyas is the National Center of Assessment in Saudi Arabia, which is an education institution that is responsible for conducting tests for high school students applying to universities. Qiyas has over 1,500 test models and a question bank of over 230,000 multiple choice questions. The Qiyas test consists of two sections. The verbal section and the quantitative section. The dataset that we have at hand comprises of 2,409 multiple choice questions, where the dominant section is the verbal section, and on the other hand, we have the quantitative section. So for each section, we have different question types. For the quantitative section, we have 4 different question types. Math, which has questions revolving around arithmetic operations, such as addition, subtraction, and so on. Geometry, which is questions that applies geometric formulas, such as the triangle properties and the angle measurements. We have algebra, which has questions revolving around solving for x and y, and statistical questions, which applies the fundamental principles in probability theory. As for the verbal section, which is the dominant part, it consists of 5 question types. The first question type is the reading comprehension, which is a passage, and there's questions regarding this passage. As for the sentence completion, we have a sentence that has missing words, and the student needs to fill in the missing word to complete the sentence. For the contextual error, there's a word that contradicts the meaning of the sentence, and the student needs to find this word. For the verbal analogy, there's a pair of words that has some kind of relationship, and the student needs to find the pair of words in the choices that has the similar relationship as the one in the question. As for the last question type, which is the anomalous word, the student is given 4 choices and needs to find the word that doesn't have any relationship with the other words in the sentence. I will be showing some samples. So for the quantitative section, we have the questions. So the questions are all in Arabic, but for the purpose of this research, we have translated them. We have the mathematical questions, which are usually verbal, geometric questions, which has, for example, like the rectangular properties, the algebra, which is solving for X and Y. And for the statistical questions are mainly revolving around probability theory. For the verbal section, you can see that the reading comprehension is quite long. So we have a passage and there's a question regarding this passage that the student needs to answer. For the sentence completion, we have empty words in the sentence. And for the contextual error, we have a sentence that contains a word that contradicts the meaning of the sentence. So the student needs to highlight this word and choose it. For the verbal analogy, we have 2 pair of words and we need to find the choice that best describes the relationship between these 2 words. And lastly, the anomalous word, as you can see, we need to find the word that doesn't have any relationship with the other choices. So the evaluation approach that we followed is, first off, we evaluated ChatGPT 3.5 and 4 to establish the performance baseline. We have tested in 3 shot settings. So the first shot setting is 0 shot, 1 shot, and 3 shots. And lastly, the metric used is the accuracy metric. So the prompt methodology that we followed is actually we inserted the exact same question to the model such that it mimics the experience for the students. So the only difference is that we added the write the answer only instruction. The reason behind that is that we know that ChatGPT produces quite lengthy answers. So in this case, we only need the correct answer. That's why we provided or we added this instruction to the prompt. So for the 0 shot prompt, we inserted the same question. As for the 1 shot prompt, we provided 1 sample. As you can see the following example with the sentence and the options and the showing the correct answer in the question. And for the 3 shot, we provided 3 samples to the model. So the results that we have obtained, I would like to highlight some things that we have found out that ChatGPT-4 actually performs much better than ChatGPT 3.5 in all question types and all tasks. And specifically focusing on the quantitative section, we have noticed that ChatGPT-4 performs better in the 3 shot settings in the geometric questions and ChatGPT 3.5-trubo as well. For the verbal section, we have noticed that both models performed really well in the reading comprehension. And the reason behind that is that the model is given a passage and the questions are regarding this passage. So, this influenced the results of both models. We performed an error analysis for the incorrectly answered questions by both models, and we have found out that the highest error rate in the quantitative section was in the algebraic question type. So as we have seen previously, the algebraic question type is solving for the missing variable. Both models obtained high error rates in this question type. As for the verbal section, we have found out that the contextual error, which is the word that contradicts the meaning of the sentence, both models obtained the highest error rate in this question type. So as another approach, we have inserted the incorrectly answered question by ChatGPT to Gemini Pro. Gemini Pro was chosen due to its accessibility at the time of the study, as well as it being a big size, commercial size, large language model. So we wanted to assess its results on the incorrectly answered questions by both ChatGPT models. So we have found out that overall Gemini produces really good results in answering the incorrectly answered questions. But focusing on the quantitative geometry question type, we have seen that Gemini actually performs best in this question type. And for the reading comprehension, Gemini Pro obtained really good results and very high accuracy on the reading comprehension question type. So in conclusion, we have noticed that ChatGPT-4 outperformed ChatGPT 3.5 Turbo across both quantitative and verbal sections. This suggests that newer models has made progress in the Arabic language understanding and mathematical reasoning. We have also noticed that providing more contextual information through one-shot and three-shot actually improves the model's accuracy, particularly in the verbal section like the reading comprehension. Lastly, this benchmark underlined the need for more Arabic-focused training data and model development efforts to enhance mathematical and linguistic capabilities of future Arabic large language models. As a future work, we plan to expand the dataset to include image-based questions for geometric and arithmetic questions. We would like to also evaluate the performance of other large language models like Gemini Pro on the whole dataset instead of only focusing on the incorrectly answered questions. We would like to also evaluate the Arabic large language models that are produced nowadays to test them on linguistic and mathematical capabilities and also compare them to the results of this benchmark. We also plan to extend this benchmark to assess the large language models on multiple languages, broadening the evaluation beyond the Arabic language. So this is all for this study. Thank you for listening. And if you have any questions, I will happily answer them.